Hello, my friends. It is Monday, which is this week's Friday because tomorrow is spring break, y'all. Yay! I do want to remind you that if you need any help, academic support for any of your academic classes, there are academic support groups being offered all week, twice a day, 3-hour sessions in the morning, and then a 3-hour session in the afternoon by different teachers who gave up their break to make sure you guys get all the help and support you may need to get us through the finish line, okay? So I sent emails and text messages and posted it on Canvas. If you need the links or the flyers, you could check in those 3 places. And if you can't find it or you need it again, just let me know and I will send it again, okay? So to end our week, we're gonna start reading comprehension for poetry. You guys are gonna get LEAP testing at the end of this month, I believe. So this is another opportunity to practice. Our poem today are gonna use these 3 words: imposter, triumph, and virtue. So tell me in the chat, a 1, I've never heard of these words before. A 2, I've heard of these words before, but I don't know what they mean. A 3, know everything or know a little something about each of the word and its meaning. Or 4, I know these words, I use them all the time. So our 3 words are imposter, triumph, and virtue. I know that my son knows the word imposter because of this game he plays called Among Us. So you probably definitely know that game, so you definitely know imposter. But what about triumph and virtue? What do you think about those words? What do you know about those words? Okay. Never? Okay. All right. No problem. We're going to talk about them a little bit more today. So our word vocabulary activity, we're going to try and fill in the blanks with the 3 words, which one fills in the blank for each sentence, because different words have different forms and they change depending on how we're going to use them. Okay, so let's see how these words fit into each sentence. The man who thought of a famous baseball player, the man who was thought of as a famous baseball player turned out to be in blank. We thought he was a famous baseball player, but he's not. Is that imposter, triumph, or virtue?
Your screen is quite blurry.
Oh, it is? Okay, let me switch screens then, no problem. Hold on. It works for YouTube and then that's it, huh? All right, let me switch it around. Thank you for letting me know. So we thought he was a famous baseball player, but he turned out to be what? Imposter, triumph, or virtue? What do you think? What word would fit in that sentence? Yes, imposter. He's a fake. He's not the real thing. Good job. The nation's final blank ended the long years of war. Triumph or virtue? What word do you think would fit in that sentence better? The nation's final blank ended the long years of war. Yes, triumph, meaning victory or a win. Yes, good job. And last one, punctuality, meaning being on time, is one of her many blank as an employee. And of course, that's virtue because that's the only one that's left. Virtue kind of is a character trait or a personality. So punctuality, being on time for class or being on time for work all the time consistently is a virtue, meaning that's something built into her character of who she is as a person and as an employee, okay? So now let's read this poem. The title of our poem is If, okay? The title of our poem is If. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting or be lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you're spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken and stoop and build them with worn out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on, and when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. That was an awesome poem. Okay, it doesn't tell us why. It doesn't tell us who wrote the poem. All right, I'll try and look that up and see who wrote that poem. That was pretty cool. Let's try and answer some questions about this poem. All right, number one, what is the second if stated in the poem? So if this was the LEAP test, what would you do if you don't know the answer right off your head? What should you do? What's the strategy you would use? What is the second if stated in the poem? A, if you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. B, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. C, if you can dream and not make dreams your master. Or D, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same. I have no idea, I don't remember. So what would be my strategy to answer this question? What is the second if in this poem? What should I do to find the answer? What would you do, guys? We have to go back to the passage, right? And go figure it out. This is an explicit question. This is a question where you can actually go and find the exact answer in the text. So let's go back to the poem and find the second meaning two, the second if. Here's the first if. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. Here is the second. Here's the second. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for doubting too. So what would be our answer choice? A, B, or C? Which one was second? If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, or B, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. All right, thank you, Tyreek, for trying. A is the very first statement, but they're looking for the second statement. So that would be number 2. So what was the second statement? Here's the second statement right here. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. So this is the first if, this is the second if. The question is asking us, what is the second if? So we would pick B. Yes, good job, good job. Good job. All right, number 2. The poem begins by describing conditions and ends by describing consequences. In which line does it shift from describing conditions to describing consequences? Is it line 8, 14, 26, or 31? So what do we have to do? We have to go back and look at line 8, line 14, line 26, and line 31. So this is another example of an explicit question. That means you'll find the answer directly in the passage. So line 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It says, and yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise. That doesn't sound like a condition and a consequence. So let's go back and try line 14. This was line 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Oops. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools. That doesn't sound like a condition and a consequence. Let's see. Line 26. Oh, we got to count each line again. 1, this is 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Accept the will which says to them, hold them. That doesn't sound like a consequence and a condition and a consequence either. So let's try line 31. If you're taking this test, instead of doing it like I'm doing it, counting every time, I would go ahead and, I'm not good at annotating, but I would go ahead and draw the numbers. So we know that this is 8. So we don't have to count each time. I already forgot where was 14 and 16, but we're looking for 31, okay? So we're at 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. Yours is the earth and everything that's in it. So which one sounded like describing a condition to describing consequences? Was it line 8, line 14, line 26, or line 31? It doesn't let me do both annotation. D. Good job, Tyree. Number 3, read the first stanza of the poem. The stanza you're gonna hear about this more in a minute. That's what we're learning about today. A stanza is like a poem's paragraph. And it seems like this poem is written in stanzas of 8 lines apiece. So the first group of lines is paragraph 1 or stanza 1 at the top. And this question is asking you, based on lines 5 and 6, what can you conclude about the speaker's values? Okay, this is implicit. You cannot go and directly find the answer. You have to use your noggin and think about what it's saying in lines 5 and 6 to make a conclusion or an inference, okay? So your strategy would be go back to the first stanza, which is the first group or paragraph of lines at the top, and read line 5 and 6. And then we'll read the answer choices to see what the speaker's values are, okay? So here's the first stanza. All of this right here is the first stanza. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This would be lines 5 and 6. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting or be lied about, don't deal in lies. That's line 5 and 6, okay? Let's see what the speaker's values are from that statement. What is the speaker's values? The speaker values curiosity and creativity. The speaker values patience and honesty. The speaker values good looks and political debates, or the speaker values the opinions of other people. The first stanza, lines 5 and 6 says, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or be lied about and don't deal in lies. So what values do you think those 2 lines are referring to? Curiosity and creativity, patience and honesty, good looks and political debates, or opinions of other people? What do you think? You think it's referring to good looks and political debates? That's a good guess. Oh, B, I'm sorry. That was for the other one. Sorry. B, patience and honesty. If you wait and wait and wait and don't get tired, that is patience. And if people lie on you and you still don't lie back about anything, that is talking about honesty. Good job. All right, read the last stanza of the poem. The last stanza would be at the bottom of the poem, the last group of lines, the last paragraph, and is asking, what is the speaker probably urging the addressee, which is us, the people, his audience, to do in lines 29 and 30, okay? So again, probably means you're making an inference. This is implicit. There's no direct way of finding the answer. You have to use your thinking skills and kind of think about and kind of guesstimate what do you think he's trying to say. So let's go read lines 29 and 30. This group is 8. The second group is 16. The third group is 24. So if this is 24, line 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. So this is what he's talking about, 29 and 30. If you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run. What is he really trying to say? That's a mouthful, and we don't speak like this commonly in everyday language, but he's making a point with vivid imagery. Fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds. How many seconds are in a minute? 60. So use every minute for a distance run. What is he trying to say? What can you conclude about that? A, the speaker is probably urging the addressee to pay more attention to kings than to common people. B, the speaker is probably urging the addressee to exercise more often. C, the speaker is probably urging the addressee to make the most of his time. Or D, the speaker is probably urging the addressee to relax and enjoy the moment. What do you think he's trying to say in lines 29 and 30 of the last stanza? He says, if you can use your minute, the unforgiving minute, and fill it with 60 seconds of a distance run. What can you infer? What can you conclude? What is the speaker probably trying to tell his audience to do? Pay more attention to kings than to common people, to exercise more, to make the most of his time, or to relax and enjoy the moment? What do you think? If you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run. That one's a little tricky. Yes, Tyreek, you are 4 for 4. He is making a reference to time. Do not waste, like Eminem, that song. Lose yourself in the moment, you own it. Do not waste time. Time is too precious to waste. All right, last but not least, what is the theme of the poem? The theme is like the main idea, the point of the whole poem that he's trying to make, that he wants you to leave with. A, becoming a grown-up takes confidence, determination, and virtue. B, most people handle failure better than they handle success. C, talking about your problems is the first step towards solving them. Or D, people should spend more time in crowds and less time around royalty. What is the main theme of this whole poem? Yes, Tyreek. Yes. And the way to know that for sure, the very last line, 8 times 4, 32, line 32. Yours is the earth and everything in it, line 31 and line 32. And which is more, you'll be a man, my son. But he's talking to maybe young men and telling them how to become a man. These are all the different things he's saying makes a young boy turn into a man. And these are all character traits and virtues. Awesome. I am so proud of you. That was not the easiest poem to digest because it doesn't use common everyday language, but it was a really good poem. So this is uploaded onto my Canvas page if you want to read it again or share it with someone because it's such a good poem. I'm going to try and find out who wrote the poem. It was really good. All right, so let's talk about poetry. I had, oh my, I don't know where it went, but I'll pull it up again. Things disappear when my monitor acts crazy on me. We're going to watch a Flocabulary video on poetry. Poetry does not always rhyme. That's one thing. All right, make sure I'm sharing the right screen here. I'm confusing myself. Stop sharing, because I want to make sure I'm sharing the right thing. Share screen one. Yeah, okay. I have to make sure. All right, watch this Flocabulary video.
Poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. It takes its origin from emotion recollected in tranquility.
Wordsworth!
Yes?
Thanks for the intro. We'll take it from here.
What's going on?
What's poetry? Here's what I found. It's when you're written and spitting words for the meaning and sound. Poems, they pack an emotional punch, whether a haiku, a sonnet, or a limerick for fun. Some poetry has a super strict form, but it could be formless and be a super slick poem. A poem written in verse you'll find. Most have meter and many have rhyme. What's prose? It's the opposite of poetry. Straightforward, like a newspaper story. See? Prose has rules to be grammatical, but with poems, rules go or sabbatical. You can do whatever you dream, cool runnings, and drop capitals like E.E. Cummings, and break grammatical rules with abandon. Tell Keats and Yeats you're coming for the canon.
Poetry, picking words for the sound and the meaning. When they're written, everyone will gather round. Poetry, kicking over what's literal and getting figurative with any little syllable. Poetry, picking words for the sound and the meaning. When they're written, everyone will gather round. Poetry, kicking over what's literal and getting figurative with any little syllable.
Also figurative language, the choice is yours. And like umpires, now you know the score. Figurative language goes beyond literal meaning, uses similes and metaphors and even appealing to the five senses. That's imagery. Now let's compare prose to some poetry.
Fog appeared in the harbor and city.
That's some pretty simple prose. You get me? Carl Sandburg's poem has figures of speech.
The fog comes on, little cat feet.
That's a metaphor about the paws of a kitty who
Sits looking over the harbor and city.
Now, fog doesn't really look, cause it's not alive, but the poet got creative. He personified. Sandburg's expressive language shines. So read and write poems, it'll blow your mind. Let's do
Poetry, picking words for the sound and the meaning. When they're written, everyone will gather round. Poetry, kicking over what's literal and getting figurative with any little syllable. Poetry, picking words for the sound and the meaning. When they're written, everyone will gather round. Poetry, kicking over what's literal and getting figurative with any little syllable.
Poets often use a sound device, like rhyming when some words sound alike. You can use a rhyme in a rhyme scheme. That's a pattern of rhymes at the end of each line. See? It could be A-B, A-B, or A-A-B-B, or many others, do you see? But you don't have to rhyme in your composition. You can write in free verse. See what I did there? Alliteration is another sound device. Just repeat first consonants, that'll sound nice like rise up for you, the flag is flown. Some alliteration from Walt Whitman. And lastly, let's hit up onomatopoeia when the sound of a word gets the clue about its meaning. Rumble and rattle sound like echoes from a yell. Like it rumbled through the valley, it rattled in the dell.
Poetry, picking words for the sound and the meaning. When they're written, everyone will gather round. Poetry, kicking over what's literal and getting figurative with any low syllable. Poetry, picking words for the sound and the meaning. When they're written, everyone will gather round. Poetry, kicking over what's literal and getting figurative with any low syllable.
Impressive. It occurs to me, your rap songs could be considered poetry. Striking resemblances. Well, with that, I must bid you adieu and return to the netherworld.
Absolutely, rap is a poem set to music. Spoken word is poetry that's orated without music, but it's still a poem. All right, so let's
Poetry is the spontaneous.
let's do a few of the literary terms before I send you on your way. We don't have enough time to get through all of them, but I wanted to try and get through some of them. Chandra prefers to write blank over poetry. Her favorite genre includes short stories and essays. What's the opposite of poetry? Was it an onomatopoeia, free verse, or prose? Do you remember? Yes, Tariq. Good job. The fog comes on, little cat feet. That's a blank about the paws of the kitty who sits looking over the harbor and city. Was that an alliteration, a metaphor, or a rhyme scheme? Yes, yes. Ah, I love it. Kiss your brain for me. Mwah, 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 mwah. The ordinary form of writing or speech, writing that is not poetry. I'm going to skip that because we already did that. We know that's prose. And I want to see how many more. All right, Jordan has a tornado of emotions. Is that a poem, a metaphor, or prose? We just did that. That is metaphor. Come on, trying to get to some other ones here. Come on, come on. Here's the beat with. Yeah. Writers, especially poets, use different blank, like rhyme and rhythm, to give their writing more feeling and meaning through the sound of their words. Metaphor, sound devices, or similes. What do poets have to use? Good guess. They use sound devices like rhyming or the rhythm of the way the words flow. So I kept getting stuck on the way I was reading that poem, but that poem has some rhyming in it and it has a pattern to it that it took. I would have to read it again a couple of times before I get the rhythm, but I noticed it at the fourth stanza that it had a rhythm to it. So this answer is sound devices. A simile is when you would say, my nose is as red as a rose. Is my nose really, red as a rose? No, but it makes you think of how red a rose is. So it's you have to use a as or if, as is word in your statement for it to be a simile. It's because you're comparing two things that are the same. All right, fog. Fog, the fog comes on the little feet, cat little feet. What is that? A free verse, a rhyme scheme, or prose? The fog comes on little cat feet. It sits looking over harbor and city on silent haunches and then moves on. It's a poem, but it doesn't rhyme. So what kind of poem doesn't rhyme? What do they call that? It follows no patterns or rules. So it's called, it's free. So that one is a free verse. It does not have a rhyme scheme. It does not rhyme. It's still a poem. And that kind of poem is called a free verse. Because I just really, really freely wrote what I had to say. Okay. All right. A figure of speech that compares two things using like or as. We just talked about that. That was the simile. I'm trying to get to the other ones. Come on, come on, come on. You could write in free verse. See what I did there? Blank is another sound device. Just repeats first consonants. That'll sound nice. Okay. What is the term called when you use the first consonants? Like Peter, Piper, picked a pack of pickles. Is that an alliteration, a metaphor, or a free verse? Yes! That was one of the ones I'm trying to skip to. And there's one more. Her eyes shine like diamonds. That's the simile, because the like, they're comparing her eyes to how bright they shine like diamonds, okay? All right, come on, come on, come on. All right, this is the last one I was looking for. The author described the fight with words like crash, pow, boom, bang. Remember those old school comics and Batman shows where the word pow, what kind of word is that? Is that an alliteration, free verse, or an onomatopoeia? Yeah! Okay, we're done. That was, oh, it's starting to sound better? All right, here we are. I'm not gonna hold you. I can't hold you back. You are doing so awesome. Why didn't I not assign this? I thought I did assign this. That is so weird. I did assign it. Hold on. I don't want to give you the wrong link because I went ahead and did my lesson plans for the next couple of weeks, so I don't have to think about it for the break. Sorry, guys. Poetry vocabulary 8021. Yes, that's it. Almost gave you the wrong homework. Here you go. When you're done, you're free to go. I appreciate your smartness, man. You guys are awesome. Click on that link, or you can type in join my quiz. And then the game code is 46808021. And I want you guys to have an awesome, awesome, awesome spring break. If you need the support, please, I'm begging you to log into those support groups. They are there to help you get caught up. Do not suffer in silence. All of these supports are there to help us cross the finish line and pass these classes. Otherwise, we've wasted our whole semester if we get to May and fail these classes. So if you need the extra help, please, I'm not one of the support teachers, but if you text me or call me, it'll come to my cell phone because it's on my cell phone. All of the information I share with you, I will see it and I will respond. I promise. That's a promise. If I see it, when I don't know if I'll see it immediately, but when I see it, I will respond. So don't think that you're bothering me. I take messages all weekend. I take messages at night. So if you need something answered or you can't find a link or you don't understand something, please reach out to me. I will see it on my phone. All right, with that being said, I'm going to stop talking so you can concentrate.